Welcome to, or back to, Lost Artistry's Shop This Set. Today I am doing a dramatic lash set, but it's not really your standard lash set. Here's why. Because we are doing a mix of volume and mega volume. And a lot of people either classify a service as volume or mega volume, not often the mix of the two. So you can do this. Honestly, all lash rules are meant to be broken, but not until you've mastered the art of all of them. So the cool thing about mixing volume and mega volume is that, quite honestly, mega volume is expensive. So a lot of people are like, oh, I love volume, I'll stick to volume because it's just more affordable. But if you can offer an in-between of volume and mega volume, your clients might just want it. So it's a nice way to up your income and give your clients what they want. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm gonna be mixing 0.07 diameter volume lashes in 60 and below, depending on the natural lash that I'm isolating. And then I'm gonna also mix 50% of my set with mega volume. And for mega volume, I'm gonna be working with a mix of 0.05 and 0.03 diameter lashes in 7D and above. I'm gonna go quite a bit above for most lashes, but I know Antonia, that's my model today, I know her lashes well, and she has crazy strong natural lashes, but she also has some really fine lashes in there as well. So I wanna bump down the diameter or dimension for the lashes that are a little less strong and resilient, and bump up the dimension or diameter for the lashes that are super, super strong. So, if you're unfamiliar with figuring out which lash is best suited for which dimension or diameter, don't worry. In your Shop This Set, we have all the information that you need to properly assess your client's natural lashes and keep them healthy. Okay, so we're gonna dive into the assessment in just a moment and all the fun stuff, but first, let me talk about the products that we're gonna be using. So as I've said before, this is a unique set. Antonia loves drama. She particularly loves long length lashes. Not everyone can handle this type of lash set. You wanna make sure that your client is in fact a good candidate for it. If someone has really weak natural lashes and they want density and length, sometimes it's just not achievable. So you have to work within your boundaries. Antonia is a great model for today's set because, like I've already said, her lashes are super, super strong and really healthy, but definitely worth assessing. But one thing I do want to note about Antonia is that if you can see right now, she's one of my best friends, guys, in case you're wondering how I know her. But anyways, she's wearing glasses and she wants the longest lashes in the history of lash extensions. That doesn't really work together very well. I don't know if you guys have done this, but Antonia comes over and her lashes are like separated in the middle and there's half of her lash sets on one side and half's on the other side. You want to talk to your client about this. If they are wearing glasses and they want really long lashes, it's good for them to know that it doesn't really work. So she's just okay with it. She just rolls with it and just walks around with her lashes kind of like poking against her glasses all day. But definitely worth having that conversation if you know that they do in fact wear glasses. Anyways, outside of that, the tweezers that I'm using. So I am gonna be working with a mixture of tweezers today. And here's why. I personally find, and you will definitely find, or maybe you already find this, that the tweezers that you use are everything. So for my 0.07 diameter lashes, I'm gonna be working with a different tweezer than my 0.03 and my 0.05. I'm gonna be working with 3 different volume tweezers for pickup today. So the reason why I'm doing this, I'll put the video below as well. That's like I call it a tweezer hack. But anyways, the reason why I do this is because all the different dimensions will break in your tweezers. So if I'm using 0.07 diameter lashes with the same tweezer as I'm using for 0.03, those 0.03 lashes, they're gonna fall right through your tweezers and you are going to hate volume lashing. But if you use a specific tweezer that works well for you, has a good sweet spot, and is specifically designed for volume, and you use only one for each diameter that you're working with, it's breezy. Well, not breezy, but it's easier than it would be, for sure. Anyways, so today I'm working with our J curve tweezer, which is actually brand new. I'm gonna be using that for our 0.07 diameter lashes today. I'm gonna be fanning off the strip, and I'm gonna be working with pre-fans. Now, if you are working with pre-made fans, you don't need to have 3 different tweezers. Whatever tweezer you want to use is totally fine. As long as it's a volume specific tweezer, then don't even worry about it. You don't need all these different tweezers for that. But if you're working with Handmade, it is very, very important. Anyhow, I'm gonna be working with those J curve for 0.07 diameter lashes. I'm gonna be working with my Grippopotamus Slim Boot tweezer for my 0.03 diameter lashes. And I'm going to be using the same tweezer, the same Slim Boot tweezer for my 0.05 diameter lashes as well. But not the same physical tweezer, the same type of tweezer, but one that is designed for the 0.05 and the 0.03 for me. How I tell, you can see here, I have actually just placed this aside for you guys to see, but I have our tweezer stand. And on our tweezer stand, I've just written 0.03, 0.03, 0.05, 0.05, 0.07, 0.07, and 0.10. This is how I know which tweezer is suited for which diameter. So it's nice to keep your stuff organized, otherwise you're gonna be like, what am I doing? Which tweezers for what? And you'll have to buy new ones, so you don't wanna have to do that. Okay, let's assess Antonia's lashes. When we're assessing our clients' eye shape, natural lash lift, and all that good stuff, first thing I do is have them look directly ahead, which is exactly what Antonia is doing right now. If we look to the side or up or down, it can really throw off our assessment. So we're looking straight ahead, and you can let your clients know that they can blink at any moment. They don't have to dry their eyes out and feel so uncomfortable. But anyhow, we're looking straight ahead, and first thing I'm gonna assess is Antonia's eye shape. So she has a lovely eye shape. They are very almond, really nice. We're not looking to correct anything eye shape wise, but it is kind of cool that she chose a really long lash set, and here's why. So let's look at her eye fold right here. You'll notice that this eye appears smaller than this eye, but if you actually look at the eyes themselves, they're the exact same. All that's different is that actually Antonia has a scar on this eyelid up here. So this eyelid actually appears much smaller than this one, which just makes her eyes look more open. So what we're trying to do today in order to balance the appearance of the eyes out, even though her actual eyes are the exact same, but we're trying to give the illusion that the creases of her eyes here are the same on either side. And that's why longer lengths and more curl are gonna look amazing on her. Because by using longer lengths and more curl, we can hide both the creases of her eyelids, and then her eyes will already just naturally look awesome. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're not focusing on 2 different sets by any means, although let's say a client did have one eye smaller than the other, you could adjust your mapping and do lengths or curls more dramatic on the eye that is less open. But again, that's not the case today. We're just working on covering that eye fold above. Now that we've assessed that, what shape are we gonna do? So I wanna give as much coverage as possible to cover those eyelids, right? So what I'm gonna do is work with a doll eye mapping. This is the lash map that we get the most coverage out of. It goes pretty fast into longer lengths and all the way across the eye. And since we're not worrying about changing the eye shape, I think this would look awesome. And it's great too because Antonia loves drama. And if we look from a side view, then we can see that Antonia's natural lashes point straight down, literally straight down all the way across. So that's a great indication that we want a decurl. Not only is a decurl gonna lift these natural lashes up to hide that fold of skin, but it's also just without anything gonna hide that skin. The only thing that we wanna make sure of is that we're not hitting the eyebrow above. So if your client has lift already on their natural lashes, maybe it's a good idea to bump down the curl, but watch our natural lash lift video. We have a full explanation of how to assess the curl to suit each individual client. But in this case, because her lashes point all the way down, we're gonna lose a few millimeters in length, appearance-wise. So just because of that tilt of the natural lashes, so we can use longer lengths and it won't actually hit her eyebrow up here. But some people, it totally would. If their natural lashes were already lifted, it just depends on the amount of space that we have between the lash line and the eyebrows. So that's definitely a good thing to keep in mind as well. Anyways, her natural lashes point down. She has crazy long natural lashes, but one thing I do want to note is that we have quite a few rogue lashes in here. Rogue lashes just sit higher. You can see one right here. This guy. And that lash is going to look a couple millimeters longer than the other lashes on that layer. So either we want to leave that lash out or apply a much shorter extension on it. And it depends on if you're going for texture or not. Today we're not going for a lot of texture, we're just going for length and darkness. But if we were going for texture, we just still want to keep that in mind, just in case, because we don't want one lash that sits way higher than the others in any lash set. So it's always nice to take note of those guys as well. Okay, lengthwise, we're gonna work with, like I said, much longer lengths. I think I'm gonna go from 10 millimeter being my shortest into 18 millimeters being my longest, which is pretty crazy. Doll eye, 18 millimeter from 10 millimeter, and I'm gonna use every length in between. So 10 to 18 is gonna be in there. A mix of both. I'm gonna quickly go from 10 to 11 to 12, and 13 and 14, and then all the way into 18, and we're gonna kind of mix them all together. I will do 18 millimeter on my bottom layer, probably not on my top layer, because I think that would be a little bit too aggressive with her eyebrows, but it'll look more like a 15 on the top. So I'll show you how to do that too. So we're gonna work in layers. We're gonna section her lashes out into 3 parts: top layer, middle layer, and bottom layer. So I'll show you how to do that as well in this Shop This set. So if you are watching the YouTube version of this video, just so you know, we have a longer version of this video that is so much more detailed on our website, www.LashTutorial.com, and we are going to bring this set to life. You're gonna get mappings, you're gonna get tutorials, like 5 to 10 videos that are exclusive to Lost Artistry and to their I should say, Shop This Set, so you won't wanna miss out on that. So you'll find that right on our website under Shop This Set. Anyhow, let's get in there and start working and building the set. Which curl is my client most suited for? She could definitely pull off quite a few different curls, but today I'm working with a DD curl and D curl mix, but there's a trick to this. So I'm working with DD curl on the bottom layer, but only where the eye naturally starts to tilt downward. Because her eye is an almond shape, it already points down on the outer corners, which is totally normal. But she has that, and she has a downward tilt to her natural lashes. So if the natural lashes are pointing down with the tilt of the eye, then it's just accentuating the downward tilt. But we can lift that up. So if I use DD curl just on the bottom layer, and then D curl, or you could even get away with C curl on the very top layer, but I'm not doing that today. I want to cover everything up above that. So we are working with D curl. But by using a stronger curl on that bottom layer, it'll really, A, make your set look way more dramatic, and B, it'll lift everything up so that you don't have lashes just kind of falling into her view or getting in the way. It's gonna make her eyes look so much more lifted. So that's what I'm doing today, but she would also be a great candidate because her lashes are so straight and downturned. She'd be an amazing candidate for L curl as well. So that's also an option. So how I'm gonna section her lashes out, like I've said, I'm gonna work with a different mapping on the top, middle, and bottom layer. My bottom layer is gonna be my longest lengths. So I'm gonna draw that map out and then show you exactly how I isolate those sections. just to explain my map a little bit, because it does look a bit overwhelming, you'll notice on the inner corner here, I have 10mm, but that's for just the couple itty bitty lashes on the very inner corner, because she has only one layer in there. So you always want to take note, especially when you're doing layered mapping like this, what's going on the inner and outer corner, and how many layers do they have? So Antonia has only one layer on the very inner corner, and it is so far in there, but I can't let it go. I have to lash it. So I'm going to be using that 10mm in there, and then quickly into my 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. What you see on the top here, this is all my top layer, meaning what is closest to me while I'm working. Then I'm going to do the bottom layer, and the bottom layer is what is very bottom of my map here. So I am using all decurl, and my longest lengths are going to be on the bottom, and then all the middle layer can be these lengths here. But it's nice for me to know which layer I'm working on and actually work layer by layer so that I always have my consistent map in mind. So here's how I do that. So it looks a bit weird, but it's such a great tip. So I'm going to work with my top layer first. The cool thing about doing this too is that once I finish the top and bottom layer, the set always looks complete, which is great, even if it's not 100% complete. So if you are lashing on a time crunch, this is the best method. So for isolating today, I'm working with my Sunset Ultra tweezer. I love this tweezer because it has a fine tip and the perfect curvature. The reason why I like working with a fine tip, especially for Antonia, is because she has a lot of little tiny itty bitty hairs that live amongst her super strong lashes, and I need a fine tip in order to easily isolate them. Now, take a look at my tweezer and how mangled it looks. Check this out. This is our Ultra line, and it is an amazing tweezer, but if you put it in acetone for too long, or just at all, just the black coating, not the tips are totally fine, but the black coating, if you put it in acetone or preempt or anything like that, bubbling will happen. So if you're obsessed with our Ultra line like I am, you want to just submerge the tips of the tweezers in acetone or preempt or whatever cleaning solution you're using, avoiding the base of the tweezer all the way along, anywhere where the black coating is, because it is not acetone friendly. But those tips, that's where you want to clean anyways. You can still clean the rest of it with soapy water or whatever, but the tips, you want to stand your tweezers up instead of laying it and fully submerging them in acetone. Now, our Grippopotamus line, like I'm working with our J tweezer right now, and this one is totally preempt friendly. As you can see, very different black coating. You can fully submerge this tweezer if you want, but yeah, just a nice little tip. Anyhow, I'm working with our J curve and our Sunset Ultra right now. So what I'm gonna do, I've placed an extra eye pad over all of her lashes. Now, tilt your head back. I'm gonna isolate out those top layered lashes. So I'm coming in with my tweezers open, and I'm gonna pull some of those top layered lashes out. This also helps with isolation. If you struggle with isolation, what a great tip. And just so you know, this shouldn't hurt the client. Antonia, does it hurt?
No.
It looks weird and it's hard to get used to, but it doesn't hurt your client, so don't be scared. Just make sure that you're not pointing your tweezers toward the eye, just along the side. This is one of my favorite isolation techniques. One thing that you will want to know if you want to play around with this technique as well, the pad should stay very close to the lash line because we want to place our extensions as close to the lash line as possible without touching the skin. We won't be able to see the base of the lashes if the pad isn't super snug with the lash line. Cool, so I'm going to start there and I can pull out more lashes as I go. You could even just pull out a few at a time if you wanted. That would work totally fine as well. And I can actually still see my mapping through here, which is good, so I know where I'm at. Black marker really helps with this too, or you can draw your mapping on top of the pad as well. So let me get through this layer first, and I'm going to do the same thing on this eye, and then I'll show you what I do for the next layer once I'm at it. so I have completed my top layer. Now I'm ready to move to the bottom layer. So instead of coming in on the top this time, I'm gonna pull those lashes out of the way by using the sticky side of my iPad and pulling those lashes out of my way. Now, a lot of people have concerns with this method because they think that maybe the residue of the pad or something would stick to the lashes. So I'm using obviously our Lost Artistry Lash iPads right now, and that's never been an issue. Obviously can't speak for all different types, but with our Lost Artistry Lash pads, you do not have to worry about that. So next, I'm gonna do the exact same thing that I did on the top, but for the bottom layer. Pulling out just that bottom layer. And again, you can do this in segments, or you can do it just like what I've done. Now I'm following my bottom layer map. So in this section, I'm working with 18 millimeters, 16, and so on.